Okay, to solve this equation, one way to solve it is like in chapter 6, where this is quadratic in form. In other words, since we have a trinomial, we can try to solve it by factoring here, where x squared times x squared times x squared is x to the fourth. So that's why I put this here and here. Okay, then, since it's a trinomial, we're going to ask ourselves, since there is no a value right here, since there is an a value, it's 1, we're going to ask ourselves what multiplies to, see, I had a typo here, that was a 0. We ask ourselves what multiplies to 10, but we'll add or subtract to -7, so if we had a -2 there and a -5 there, that would work. So then we set each of these equal to 0 and solve them. So add 2 and then square root both sides. Remember, we need the plus or minus. We get plus or minus radical 2, so that right there is 2 answers. Remember that the highest exponent tells us at most we can have 4 answers. So then we add 5 to both sides. And then we square root both sides. And we get x equals plus or minus radical 5. So those are our 4 answers. Okay, so now we could also solve this using the quadratic formula, but remember the quadratic formula tells us what x is. Okay, because normally we have like x squared minus, like let's say 7x plus 10. Well, this time it's x to the fourth, so it's if you square that, you'd get x to the fourth. So in other words, we could use the quadratic formula, but instead of x, it will tell us what x squared is equal to. So I'm going to use the same formula, except for instead of it telling me what x equals, it will tell me what x squared equals. So I'm going to have negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So now I'm going to simplify this. Okay, well, the square root of 9 is 3. So then we're going to have 7 plus 3 divided by 2 and 7 minus 3 divided by 2. So here we're going to get 10 over 2, which is 5. So we get 5. And then here we're going to get 7 minus 3 is 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now remember, it's not that x is 5 and x equals 2. It's x squared equals 5 and x squared equals 2. So now, our answers are not 2 and 5. Now we have to solve this. So that's where we get x equals plus or minus square root of 2. And here, we get x equals plus or minus rad 5. So that is what you have to do. If you're going to use the quadratic formula, instead of x equals, you make it x squared equals, and then you'll have to solve what you have in the end.